Hi, my name is Chris Hitchens from College Admission Solutions. I'm a member of the Bethel Park Chamber of Commerce, and this is your college application coach. Each month, we're going to answer questions from Bethel Park parents and families, bring you guests that relate to the college application process, and talk about scholarships. We're going to talk about financial aid. We're going to talk about college essays. We're going to talk about the difference between the SAT and the ACT. We'll talk about how to get the college application process started. We're going to talk about choosing the correct college, the differences between different types of colleges. And guests today, we're going to be Heather Campbell from Club Z Tutoring from the South Hills, and Joanne James from First National Bank, also president of Bethel Park Chamber of Commerce. Final question we're going to answer: what to do when grandma decides to give you a briefcase full of 10s and 20s on the first day of college. What are we supposed to do with that money? I'm Chris Hitchens. This is your college application coach, and we talked in the intro about grandma handing off a briefcase full of money your freshman year of college. And what are you supposed to do with this money? All right, so this question comes from Pam, and Pam says, one of my favorites, asking for a friend. Asking for a friend. If a grandparent offered a certain amount of money to help with tuition, is it better for them to pay directly to the school or give to the parent to pay? Also, does it matter which year the money is used? And this is what I'm going to say: when somebody wants to give you a large sum of money for your college education, that money has to be declared. I'm not a financial advisor, but I do advise people to find a financial advisor. Any money you spend on a financial advisor, you're going to get back in money saved and money not wasted. So if anybody needs a financial advisor, I have a few that I can recommend. You can go to my website, chrisjhitchens.com, and I don't get anything out of making these recommendations, but I have a few people that I have worked with in the past. Also, if you do have questions for the show, if you go to chrisjhitchens.com, it'll lead you to question or contact boxes. You can send your questions in. Anyway, back to the money that grandma wants to give you. It has to be declared. And anytime you declare money, it's going to affect your financial aid issues and the amount the colleges expect you to contribute. So I would tell her to hold on to this money. That's one strategy. Hold on to the money, take out student loans, and possibly use that money later on to pay off the student loans, as long as you're paying off the interest of the student loans. But I wouldn't accept that money and then declare it to the colleges. Also, I would never do anything immoral or illegal or unethical. Those things always seem to backfire. So anyway, hold on to the money, let it grow, take out the student loans, and then use the money later on to pay off those student loans. Now, what year you can start doing that? Maybe even your junior year of college or your senior year of college. And talking about student loans and interest, we all hear horror stories about student loans. One thing I believe is vital is to pay the interest on these student loans. Pay it off. Your first semester may only be about $10 a month, but we all know about the great value of compound interest, but also the dangers of compound interest. So I would pay off the interest of the student loans. A few dollars a month. Second semester, the second year may be $15 or $20 a month, but don't let the interest compound. So that's a strategy. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a education consultant, help families through the college application process, all aspects of the college application process, but I have recommendations if you do need a financial advisor. All right, next question. My daughter says SAT scores don't count, grades are the most important. What do colleges really look for when they're trying to decide who to accept? One thing colleges look for right now, first thing they look for is the rigor of your high school's curriculum. They do look at SAT scores. SAT scores are vital. There's just no doubt. They are vital, not only to get accepted. Getting accepted is easy. Everybody gets in. Getting out's the hard part. 1/3 of all college freshmen drop out before they get a degree. They drop out, 1/3 drop out, never get a degree. Can you imagine how much money is wasted on tuition, room and board, all that money, tens of thousands of dollars wasted you'll never get back. Also, half of the students who do stay in take at least 6 years to get a degree. Every year you stay in college past 4 years, you're losing tens of thousands of dollars. Also, you're losing a huge amount of money from not being in the workforce. And all that time you just wasted out of your life. When families come and work with me, we work out a 4-year plan. It is vital. Get in, get out in 4 years, unless there's certain circumstances. Some programs take 5 years. Sometimes there's family issues or medical issues or economic issues that delay that, but can't go in without a plan to get in and out in 4 years, if at all possible. So SATs, vital. Grades, also vital. This is actually the first year colleges put in ability to pay as one of the top 12 concerns when they admit students, which I think is very odd. Next question. This one comes from Delilah. I can't motivate my junior daughter to choose where she wants to go to college. She says she's either going to go to Pitt or Penn State. Now, my husband went to Pitt, I went to Penn State, and I don't think that's a valid answer. Delilah, I agree. You can't say I'm either going to go to Pitt or Penn State. There's a vast difference between Pitt or Penn State. Pitt's downtown Pittsburgh. It doesn't have much of a traditional campus. It's an urban environment. Penn State, 46,000 students in a wide open space, rural environment, 3 hours away. There's no comparison between these colleges. They're both excellent, but there's just no comparison. Costs are very, very similar. So they're both, Pitt's about 32,000, Penn State's about 35,000. So what you need to do is visit, take a tour. You can take a walking tour or you can take an official tour. Official tours are real easy. Just go to the admissions office. You can even go in the summer months and tell them you want to take a tour. You can call first, but usually they'll just hook you up and they'll have someone to walk you around. Once you do that, things will start to define themselves. After that, start to talk to your student. Ask her what's important to her, what programs are important to her. You really need to sort of pre-qualify your own child. One way to do this, one way that I do this with my clients is have them take the Myers-Briggs personality test. Because a student, and it's not embarrassing, it's very simple. Don't worry about the results coming back weird, they won't. But a student who wants to be a high school English teacher will not also want to be a mechanical engineer. And you can sort of narrow down the career field, which will also help narrow down the majors, which will then help narrow down the field of colleges to look at. Finances also are going to be a big issue with colleges. We're going to talk about that later on, but I've got to tell you, Pitt, Penn State, and state schools aren't known for being overly generous with merit aid. Small schools like Carnegie Mellon, like Robert Morris, like Denison in Ohio, are much more generous in merit aid, SAT scores, grades. So Pitt is $32,000. The average cost to a student receiving aid going to Carnegie Mellon is only $34,000, even though their sticker price is $66,000. Denison, $61,000. The average cost students pay who are receiving aid to go to Denison, not $61,000, only $29,000. So it's important to investigate these colleges. All right, we'll be right back. We're going to talk to Heather Campbell from Club Z Tutoring. Hi, this is Chris Hitchens from IECA. On Wednesday, October 24th at 7 p.m., I'm going to be at the Bethel Park Library talking to families about financial aid and scholarships, where scholarships really come from, how college planning is essential to maximize the family's financial aid package. 1/3 of all students who enter college drop out entirely. You can imagine the money and time wasted. So we're going to talk about what to look for at colleges, how to investigate which colleges are the most generous. We're going to talk about resources to find this information. We're going to talk about college planning. We're going to talk about what colleges look for when awarding financial aid packages. We'll talk about SATs, we're going to talk about grades, high school curriculum. So if you have a student at Bethel Park High School, I invite you to show up October 24th at 7 p.m. at the Bethel Park Library. We'll fill you in on everything you need to know about financial aid and scholarships. This segment, we're going to be with Heather Campbell from Club Z Tutoring. Heather works with students all throughout the South Hills. You can contact Heather if you Google Club Z South Park, or you can contact Heather through a phone, 412-506-6500, or if you contact me at chrisjhitchens.com, I'll put you in direct contact with Heather. Welcome, Heather. Hi.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks for being here.
Glad to be here.
So Heather, you're going to work with us on study skills,
Yes.
which are vital when
Yes.
it comes to preparing for your college application navigation process.
Absolutely, and creating those habits are
Yes.
really important, especially prior to getting away and not having that parental supervision anymore.
Awesome. Yes, directly. Work on those habits.
Absolutely. So a big thing is daily learning. You really want to create daily learning habits every day, even if there isn't homework assigned. So creating study guides and things of that
Wow,
nature, so that you have an ongoing interaction with the subject content that you're learning, and it's getting to that long-term memory. So
Gotcha.
always being immersed in the studying is really important than just cramming the night before.
So you want to work on study guides. Awesome.
So really important is having a homework schedule.
Okay.
So working with the family to carve out that time. And it depends on the student, whether it should be right after school because they're still in the mode,
Right.
or if they need a break and they're active kids and they need that time frame to just decompress after school, have a snack, do some activity, and then come back to it either before or after dinner. So it really depends on what works with your family and the extracurricular activities and that kind of thing, but really creating that schedule
Awesome.
is important, carving
Right.
out that time.
Awesome. So when you meet with families, these are things that you talk about and said, listen, we're going to create a schedule. We're going to find their best time. When they're
Absolutely.
gonna be most motivated to work, but it's going to get done.
Absolutely. And when I do a consultation, I'm asking, what are their habits already? What are you doing? Where do you do homework? Can I see your planner?
Yes.
All of those questions are really important because you want it to work within the family's lifestyle.
Perfect. When I work with families and do the initial consultation, I ask a lot of questions. So my questions are really geared towards, I sort of focus on the student. I want to hear what they have to say.
Yes.
But I love the concept, just getting as much information about the family style, their time frames, and things like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know even in my own community, my neighbors and things like that, some of the kids come right in and eat dinner, and we
Right.
eat dinner at like 7 o'clock. So it is just varies from family to family. Finding out those study spots
Yes.
are really important, and if they don't exist, helping them to create it.
Nice.
So we worked with a family who the student study spot was on the 3rd floor in a bedroom with a
Okay.
desk and everything. But how often was he actually going to that place to
Right.
do his studying? And so we really started to work out, where do you actually, I know this is your great
Right.
space,
But
but
where
where
do
do
you
you actually,
actually-
and it turned out it was at the island in the kitchen
Okay.
with the little sister around. And so we talked about, how's that working for you?
Good question.
So really finding out what works best with the student. Another big thing that I talk to families about is finding the right noise.
I
A
never thought
lot
about
of
that.
kids want to have the TV going. That is
Really?
usually not the best option.
All right.
But there are students that need that background noise, so whether it's like a noise machine with white noise or some music in the background, sometimes that is really good to help them retain the information that they're reading, because silence can sometimes distract from
Okay.
the student.
I never knew that.
Absolutely.
All
So it's
right.
good to try a couple of different things and figure
Yeah.
out what's working.
That's awesome. I know some people you should talk to. That's beautiful.
I'd be happy to talk to them.
Great.
and really limiting the distractions. So honestly, really having everything at your fingertips. And that kind of leads me into organizing your space.
Yes, I know. And like you said, one of the first things you said is the students are home now. They have some parental oversight, but pretty soon they're going to be out of the house on their own. These habits are vital. Like I mentioned in another segment, a third of the kids that go to college drop out because they just don't have these, I'm going to call them soft skills.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're not taught these skills.
Exactly.
So unless their parent is very much type A and good at those skills, but also good at teaching those skills and understanding that their child isn't always going to have the same organization style that they might. And that I run into that dichotomy a lot with families.
And they bring you in and upset this whole system. So what about organization?
So with organization, you really want to make it a habit as well. So getting organized is really key. So really finding out what to get rid of.
Okay.
A lot of students, so adults too. We have a program that's called Learning Built to Last. And so this is things that you can apply throughout your life. You know, when you get into the job market and trying to figure out how to balance home and work and things like that. So this is really something that people use their whole life. But getting rid of items that you don't need.
Yes.
And there's
how many books have we read about throwing things away?
Exactly.
We thank them. Thank you for being in my life. But old pillow, I have to toss you out.
And there's whole reality TV shows about hoarders. So it's a problem across America and the world, really. But there's really 3 keys that you can ask your student. You know, do you need it? And if the student says, I need it now, we're working on this right now,
I need it.
Find the right space for it. Is it in the backpack? Is it in the room for a reference material? You know, where is the best place for that? And finding the right organizational objects. So whether it's a binder, a folder, an accordion file, what's the best way to keep these papers so they're not just jumbled in the bottom of the book bag? Do you need it later? So it's something that you've already done, but it's going to come back up on a test later, you know, those unit tests and chapter tests. So where's a good place to keep this until I need it and keep referencing it? And then I will never ever need this again.
Gotcha.
Get rid of it.
Yeah. I taught chemistry for over 25 years, and kids would show me their binder when they're working on studying for their final exam. It's just like this. And
every word you've ever said.
And like, has no value to them at all.
Absolutely. And sometimes a side note is parents grab these huge backpacks that they feel like can hold everything and feel like that's the best object.
I've seen that.
But you really want something where the kids are going to pare down. They're not going to carry everything they own from point A to point B to point C and back again because things are going to get lost. So really finding the backpack that makes the most sense and has compartments and things like that so the kids have a space, which leads into get it in one grab.
Okay.
Knowing where something is and being able to just pull.
Go bag.
You don't want to have to shuffle through papers to get to this book. You know, you want a bookshelf or you want a binder that you can say, oh, the green binder is that one. And knowing color coding and things like that are really great opportunities. Yes. So you aren't taking that time and being frantic to look for what you're looking for. You know where it is.
Yes. I need these services desperately. I want you to bring in a professional. Okay.
Absolutely. And it's helped in my own life too, for sure.
Course.
Absolutely. You can't teach it unless you do it.
Honestly. I love that. Okay. We're going to wrap up this segment with Heather Campbell. I want to thank Heather Campbell from Club Z Tutoring for being here this month. Look for Heather in the future. She'll be around. You can contact Heather if you Google Club Z South Park. Or call 412-506-6500. Or if you contact me at chrisjhitchens.com, I will put you in direct contact with Heather.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thanks, hi, this is Chris Hitchens from IECA. On Wednesday, October 24th at 7 p.m., I'm going to be at the Bethel Park Library talking to families about financial aid and scholarships. Where scholarships really come from, how college planning is essential to maximize the family's financial aid package. 1/3 of all students who enter college drop out entirely. You can imagine the money and time wasted. So we're going to talk about what to look for at colleges, how to investigate which colleges are the most generous, We're going to talk about resources to find this information. We're going to talk about college planning. We're going to talk about what colleges look for when awarding financial aid packages. We'll talk about SATs. We're going to talk about grades, high school curriculum. So if you have a student at Bethel Park High School, I invite you to show up October 24th at 7 p.m. at the Bethel Park Library. We'll fill you in on everything you need to know about financial aid and scholarships. This is Chris Hitchens from College Admissions Solutions. This is your college application coach. And in this segment, we're going to be talking with Joanne James. Joanne's a branch manager at First National Bank. She's also president of the Bethel Park Chamber of Commerce. Hi, Joanne. Thanks for being
Hi, Chris.
here today.
Nice to meet you.
So we like to bring in people from the community
Sure.
and talk about their experiences, not only as they went through the college application process, but also their college experience and what those experiences helped them to do in later life.
Sure.
So where did you start your college education?
I started my college education at Duff's Business Institute. I actually went to college to be a court stenographer.
Okay.
That's where my interest lied at that point. And Duff's was the top school in Pittsburgh that you could go become a court stenographer. And it was a 2-year program.
Great. So is that considered a for-profit college? Or is that,
Yes.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting because I know a number of people who take that route,
Uh-huh.
and the ones who take advantage of it love it.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, how'd that evolve?
Well, I became a court stenographer for about 3 to 4 years. And then I changed career paths and decided to go into the financial services industry. I then went back to school to Kaplan College, and I spent another 2 years there finishing up my degree, and I became a licensed stockbroker.
Awesome. Really?
Yes, that's what I did.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. You talk about changing careers.
Mm-hmm.
That happens to almost everybody.
Yes.
So whatever you choose to study in college, so many times is not where you're going to end up. Things
Right.
evolve and things change, and we have to be adaptable. So you went from being a court stenographer to getting your stockbroker license.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And then I worked as a financial advisor for Nat City Investments for
Okay.
9 years. So that's what I did. And in the involvement of National City being bought by PNC is
okay.
when I ended up switching to First National Bank and became a branch manager.
Okay, great. So where are you? What branch are you at right now?
I managed the Cannonsburg branch on Route 19.
But you were in the South Hills for
Yes, for
long.
most of my career I spent in Bethel Park, at the Bethel Park branch and the Fort Couch branch of National City.
Got it. So, I don't know. What do you remember about the college application process and decision making and things that people may struggle with or things they should watch out for?
Yeah, it was a lot different when I went to college versus my children.
Right.
When I went to college, I was simply looking for a 2-year degree. I was looking for later on in life when I was going to raise a family, something that had flexibility. So a lot of that went into the decision of the career I chose. Which school I chose went by what career I was choosing, career
Definitely.
path, because
Yes.
not everybody had a court stenographer school.
Yes,
So.
I love that. That is one thing that I do with families is we work on where they see themselves in about 10 years, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years,
Right.
and how to get there.
Right.
So, and that kind of will lead us to majors in different colleges. So you followed my process.
Yeah, so that's
I can't
basically
take
what I
credit, but
did. And then I applied and got accepted and just went through the program. And the same thing with Kaplan. The reason I chose them was because they had a crash course as part of the curriculum that would help you pass your exam to get your Series 6 and 63, because I ended up getting both. And I also got an insurance license for Pennsylvania insurance agents. So I did all of that at Kaplan throughout that process. And that kind of led me to where I am today.
Beautiful. I love the structure of your plan. So you went in and you had a plan, you know where you wanted to be and when you got out. And so many families today they don't have that plan, and sometimes they let the student lead the way, and they're not exactly sure or don't have enough information to lead the way. And that's one thing that we emphasize is having a structured plan.
Yeah.
Where you're going to end up where do you see yourself, and if you're not gonna, where can you see yourself evolving after that
Right,
point?
because it doesn't always mean what you went to school for is
Exactly.
exactly what you're going to do for the rest of your life, because life evolves and changes.
Oh, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So you're also you're the branch manager at First National down in
Right.
Washington, but you also are an entrepreneur.
Yeah, my husband, Dave James, and I own Progress Self Storage on Progress Boulevard and the Industrial Park.
Okay.
And a lot of the skills and skill set that I have as a branch manager relays into that business. So I help Dave a lot with that as far as the day-to-day management of the facility and marketing and reaching out and building that network of COIs. And a lot of that is what I've learned as a branch manager to
Definitely.
help make that business successful.
Yes. So you start at one place, you gain more skills,
Right.
you get a lot of insight, experiences, you get to talk to a lot more people, and just
Right.
opens up these worlds you just don't realize, what you can do with this information.
Yep,
So
definitely.
that's neat. It's not uncommon, but I don't like to see students just focus on one thing. Say, I want to
Right.
go to college. I want to be an accountant, which is awesome. But there's so many other things that can evolve from
Right,
that.
from accounting skills. And I think being socially active is important in college
Yes.
because that's where you build lifelong connections that maybe connect you to the next thing that you're going to do.
Beautiful.
But you don't realize that at the
Right.
time you're in college. So I think for students, and that's something I focused in with my own children, was when you pick your college, you not only want to be academically happy, but you want to be socially happy so that you make lifelong friends.
Yes.
So that you connect with those friends throughout your lifetime because maybe they're going to lead you to your next job or they're going to lead you to the next thing that you really have the passion for.
I'm laughing because you're stealing all my information. Because one thing I tell folks is, the student needs to go to a college where they're going to feel happy, and they
Right.
feel safe,
Right.
and they're going to thrive.
Right.
So, and you hit all those points perfectly.
Yeah, and that really happened with my daughter Paige. She went to Slippery Rock University.
Yes.
She was very outdoorsy, so for her, that was the perfect university for her because she learned to kayak, she got on the biking team, she really did things. And I think that's important for students, just not to sit in their room, not to come home every weekend,
Exactly.
and
big
really build friendships and connections.
That's awesome. My wife graduated from Slippery Rock.
Oh, great.
She started
Yeah,
CCAC.
my daughter loved it. Mhm.
My wife loves Slippery Rock. So
Mhm.
that's awesome. That's one of
Yeah.
the great state schools that is really thriving.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful campus.
It is a beautiful campus.
Beautiful campus.
And it's not that far from Pittsburgh.
No, it's not. So I used to go up and we'd go to Grove City.
Nice.
So it was a win-win.
The outlets. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Thanks, Joanne.
You're very welcome.
I want to thank Joanne James for being here, branch manager at First National Bank and president of the Bethel Park Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank everyone for watching. We're going to wrap up. I want to thank our guest, Heather Campbell from Club Z Tutoring. I want to thank Joanne James from First National Bank. And in conclusion, if you do have questions, you can send them to me. I will answer them. Some of them we'll answer on air at chrisjhitchens.com. That's the easiest way to reach me. And we'll be back each month with new topics and new guests. Thanks.